What's up? Thank you for tuning in to Boxing Wave. Today I'm going to speak on Erislandy Lara versus Austin Trout at 154 pounds, okay? These guys are going to be on the undercard for Paulie Malignaggi and Zab Judah. I believe that's December 7th at the Barclays Center, the Barclays in Brooklyn. Okay, this fight coming up here, it's going to be a really technical fight. Now, if you're a real true boxing fan, you're going to like this fight. These guys are both true boxers, okay? They're not brawlers, they're boxers. So if you just want to see two guys beat the hell out of each other and just plaster each other's face, you're not going to get that. Neither one of them, they both have good ring movement. They both are very skilled and talented boxers. They like to set up their punches and they take their time. I think Austin Trout is a little bit more active, more busier in the ring, but it's going to be a technical fight, okay? Let me start with Lara. Lara is coming off of a win against Alfredo Angulo, which was a really close fight. Angulo is similar to Antonio Margarito. He has a strong chin. He walks straight forward, and he has a lot of power in his punches. He throws some really powerful hooks and uppercuts when he get inside. So, you know, he doesn't really have any foot movement or anything. Lara, you know, he's a good jabber. He's a good he's good at fighting on the outside, mid-range. He's not really good in inside fighting like that, but he has a lot of power. He's coming off of a win. Even though he got knocked down, he had to win because of a stoppage. Because Angulo had a big bump that was just growing on the side of his eye, right on top of his eye. And the ref had to stop the fight. It was just too painful because as soon as the eye started to swell up, Lara just kept attacking it, and it was just too much for Angulo, and the fight was stopped. So he's coming off of that win. Other notable fights with Lara, he fought, he had a draw with Molina that I want to speak of. Me personally, Lara was still a prospect at the time. He was undefeated when they fought. Molina pretty much pressured him the whole fight. Molina doesn't punch hard or anything, but he's a good fighter off the clinch, and what he did was he kept clinching Lara. And he kept fighting off the clinch, and even though he doesn't have any power, he was very active. Molina's a very active fighter. He stayed in close, kept clinching, and Lara just couldn't find a way to get any momentum going because this guy was just right on him, right on top of him. So to me, I think Lara has a power. I'm sorry, he has some trouble against fighters that's gonna pressure him. He did fight Paul Williams, and the fight was actually a surprise because I feel most viewers thought that he dominated Paul Williams. Paul Williams is taller, much taller. He has a much longer reach, but Lara was able to slip in there and land his punches all night pretty easily. You know, it's funny because Paul Williams is either dominating or he fights guys that, you know, they find a way. Even when he lost to Carlos Quintana the first time, Carlos Quintana found a way to just keep landing that overhand right. I remember if it was an overhand right or left, but Paul Williams was very easy to hit that night. And even when Lara fought him, he just kept landing, you know, the straight left on Paul Williams all night. You know, he led with the right, the straight right, and just kept landing the left right after all night long. He found a way to slip in between Paul Williams' jab, and he looked very impressive that fight. So, you know, so yeah, Erislandy Lara has his ways with him. He's a very talented fighter. Most of his other fights he dominated. He does have power as well. Austin Trout is coming off of a loss against Canelo Alvarez and a win against Miguel Cotto. Miguel Cotto was supposed to win that fight. You know, everything was set up for, you know, Cotto to win. He was in New York fighting his undefeated in Madison Square Garden, and most people thought he was going to win this fight because he was coming off an oppressive loss against Floyd Mayweather. Austin Trout, you know, he took control of the fight. You know, he was a lot more active than Cotto, landing the cleaner, better shots, even fought better on the inside a little bit in the later rounds. and Cotto couldn't hang. He just didn't have the conditioning to hang with Austin Trout in the later rounds, and Austin Trout won the fight very convincingly. So it impressed him, and it got him to fight against Canelo, which was also a close fight, but he ended up losing that fight because Canelo landed the more accurate, harder shots. Even though Austin Trout was a little bit more busier, he just didn't have the, you know, he had output, but he just didn't land the, you know, the great, you know, the really good shots against Canelo. He actually missed a lot, and Canelo looked really good that fight, but it still was a very close fight, very close competitive fight. In fact, he also got Trout also got knocked down that fight. So like going back as far as this fight is concerned, both of these guys, like I said, are similar. They have similar styles. They both are southpaws. I think Lara is a little bit better at fighting on the outside and the mid-range. I think he has a better jab. And I think he throws, I think even though Trout looks more physically fit, I think Lara has a little bit more power, a little bit more speed with his punches. Okay, so I think he's going to have an advantage over Trout in that sense. They both have, similar foot movement. It equals they're equal in so many ways, So I think on the outside, Lara wins. I think Trout is a little bit better on the inside. I realized that when he fought Cotto, because when Cotto was trying to get on the inside and land his punches, Trout was able to hold his own against Cotto in the inside and the outside. So I think Trout is going to be better on the inside, but they both, for the most part, like to fight on the outside. And I think Lara's going to have that advantage because he has the power and speed over Trout. Only way I see Trout winning this fight is if he stays active, which he usually does for all 12 rounds. I think Trout is a lot more active. I think his conditioning is a little bit better than Lara's, and I think he's going to have a higher volume of punches. But I think Lara's going to hit him with the harder shots, the more accurate punches. And I'm going to take Lara for this fight. I think it's going to be a tough technical fight. I think it's going to have their moments where it's going to be some action in there. But for the most part, it's going to be really technical. These guys are going to be, be very cautious and not want to get hit by either fighter, because Lara definitely likes to take his time. And then he has his few rounds where he's kind of inactive, where Trout is pretty busy throughout the whole fight, So it can really go either way. But I'm taking Lara for this fight. I think Lara's going to win. It's going to be a close, possibly a split decision. And I think Lara's going to win the fight. This fight could possibly land a fight between Carlos Molina and Victor Ortiz are also fighting the week right after this fight. They're both fighting at 154. So the winner of the fight could possibly fight one of those two. Lara, if he wins, he might fight Canelo, or Trout might fight Miguel Cotto again. Miguel's just coming off of a win against Rodriguez, so it's so many possible fights between these two with whoever wins. And whoever wins or whoever loses, they're still gonna have a future at 154, because they are two of the most top dominant 154 pounders. They're both top 5 154 pounders right now, and I think it's going to be a good fight. So definitely check the fight out. Leave comments, let me know what you think. Let me know who you think is going to win this fight, and how they're going to win this fight. And subscribe to my channel, subscribe to USA MVP as well. And follow me on Twitter if you want to discuss boxing. Always follow me. I always say follow me on Twitter at Wavy10, Wavy_10, at Wavy_10, WAVY_10. Okay. All right. So let me know what you think about the video, and hit me with those comments. Thank you.